This is another palette that I wanted to share. It's a very inexpensive palette. It opens up to 16 wells. And these wells are really great for brush access. It's very easy to pick up colour. You're not digging into pans. So I really like the well style of palette, and this is one of a few that I'll show. There's obviously many ways you can set them up. I work in a fairly logical manner, working through the yellows, oranges, reds, purples if you have them, blues, greens, and then into the earth colours around this side. Here's one that was set up some time ago. I generally write the name on the inside, particularly if I'm doing them for other people. And it's a helpful way to keep track of what your colours are until you really get to know them. There is a seal in here, though that isn't something that worries me. I'd actually rather the paints could dry out rather than run the risk of possibly having mould. So to see these in action, I have this little sketchbook from Hansa Yellow. This is the watercolour sketchbook that's fairly recently come out. So it's 100% cotton, cold pressed paper, 250 GSM cold pressed. So a lovely paper to explore. So the colours that I'm using are really familiar to many who know my work. Buff Titanium, an absolute favourite. In these I'll just go a little darker towards the centre. Hansa Yellow Medium. A good general yellow. It's a light fast pigment and it's just really convenient because you have then a nice bright yellow to use for any subject. Quinacridone Gold. I love Quinacridone Gold, even the hues, because it's such a convenient mixing colour. So it's definitely a warmer yellow, but it will make an amazing range of greens. And I like the simplicity of two colour mixes. Now I set up this palette some time ago, and this colour has changed from a sort of more reddy version to an absolute mid-orange. But it's still a beautiful orange. So while this one worked as an orange and as a warm red, the newer version still is a useful colour. Or you could use Pyrrol Scarlet. So I set this one up as a sketching palette and really thinking of how I would work with just the 16 colours in the set. And as a sketching palette, thinking about which colours I really could manage without. So in this case, I've gone without the Pyrrol Crimson, which I find a really, really useful colour, but you have to make compromises when you reduce the colours. So this I set up with 2 yellows, 2 reds, 2 blues. Still not completely classic because the 2 yellows are not strictly a warm and a cool. I call this a mid rather than a cool. Cerulean Chromium. So these are both liftable. There is not a staining blue. And then I've got 3 greens. I haven't used phthalo green. I've put in Perylene Green, which is that sort of bluish green, but it's a much more powerful one. And since I don't have crimson in here to be able to make a hue of this, I've actually put it in. It's a really useful colour for foliage. And then another favourite, Convenience Green, Undersea Green. Just a good realistic green. And then another favourite Convenience Green is Sap Gives that lovely brighter, more yellowy green, what's considered a warmer green, and it sits nicely with the others. And once again, since I don't have phthalo green, I can't make this, but I can have it in there for convenience. Now I've got two bright yellows, but then I've also got two earth yellows. I do love the earth colours. And this time I've put in yellow ochre, so that increases the mixing options. And when you're doing on location work, you often have more earth colours, and goethite, a favourite, very granulating. I don't have a purple because they are so easy to make by mixing these two, but some people do like to have purples. I tend to have palettes that have a lot more earth colours, so single pigment earth colours that are useful for landscape, but also for figures and faces and portraits and so many subjects. So while you could mix up all these colours out of 3 primaries, I like to have them available. There are so many ways of setting up palettes, and this is just one of them. This is Indian Red, that one was Burnt Sienna, and so I have an earth yellow, a couple of earth yellows, earth red and earth orange along here. Really interesting colour. And then raw umber, which is another convenience earth colour, like the deep brown version. It's a deep cool brown, great for shadows in trees and also in buildings and concrete and all sorts of those neutral colours where you just want something that kind of disappears. And then finally Jane's Grey, convenience combination of burnt sienna and ultramarine. It's a beautiful colour, and unlike Payne's Grey and many of the other available greys, it is liftable, so it's a non-staining colour. So these are all Daniel Smith. You can find many of them in different brands, but that's the ones I've set up here. Once the palette's dry, you can easily shut it up, and then you've got the mixing areas in here. It can be held whichever way works for you. It's not very large, you can see it compared to my hand, so it's quite good as a portable palette, or even for home if you wish. Here's the little colour study with a little bit more strength to it, and I created that little chart just using one of the stencils that I created. For my courses I created a number of them, and then I had some extra ones done that can be colour wheels and colour charts, so this just lays on for just another fun option